Hello everyone. This is Sunday afternoon, the end of week 6, doing week 7's weekly video for you. Good job. Give yourself a pat on the back. Right now you are just about finished with the first half of the semester. It's going by quickly. But I do want to remind you that we still have 6 weeks to go. So anyway, let's get going. Review of last week's items. Great job on your posts. I've been reading a couple. I know I haven't really been giving feedback on them, but this week I really felt like I wanted you to give your ideas, give your posts, and then go to your peers. And then Monday morning I will give you a little bit more about each student, what happened, and give you a little bit more to look at, and we'll see whether you're right or wrong. And again, many times in this part, there's not really a right or a wrong. There's really maybe a more correct way of doing it. But a lot of it comes from experience. I know I've made a lot of mistakes working with kids, and you learn from each one and hope that you make less mistakes as you teach. So anyway, right now the average on the quizzes is still doing great, a 9.4 on the quizzes. When I get done talking, I'll look and see. There's still a couple more that need to take the quiz, so I'll look and see what the actual average is for the class. But last I looked, everybody is above a 70% at least, with most of you in that B range or higher. So anyway, this week you're going to be talking about autism, or actually learning and reading about autism, and then doing some discussion board on autism. Your observation report's also due July 15th. Just a quick, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I always like to throw that in here. It's going to come quick. I still have a couple of students that haven't given me who they're going to observe. I think there's one student that I haven't really heard anything as far as where they're observing. I will be sending, at this point, you will have gotten an email if I need more information. I do get concerned at this point because the observations have to be done. I have to have the information on the teachers that you observed. I have to have the signature pages, so make sure that you're getting all of those signed while you're observing, and that you save them, digitize them so that you've got them, and we'll talk more about that as we go. But for the discussion board, you look at special interest areas, basically those strengths that those students with autism have. And maybe sometimes you might think not a strength, but you'll get a little bit more of that as you're thinking about it. There's several videos about the topic on YouTube. You will be doing some searching. You're going to choose 3 out of that group, and you're going to create separate threads for this week's discussion board. Try to choose one that hasn't been watched. So in other words, if you get on there and you want to write about one and you look on there and it's already been written about, then look for another one. That's why you need to look at that first. You don't want to do all of your video watching and then think you've got it and go on the discussion board and find out it's not there. So make sure that as you post that make sure you put the name in your post, and that'll help all your classmates kind of see who is talking about whom. So good luck on that. Have some fun with it. This is one that I think is a definite eye-opener for many of the students that do this discussion board at the end of the week. So take your time. Make sure that you do that initial post on Thursday so that your peers can get a chance to respond and see what you've done. So make sure, if you really want to talk about someone, then post it early so that you can get that taken care of. Anyway, let me go down here, make sure I'm hitting everything on my list here. So yeah, this week is just a quiz over autism and we'll talk about, you do have over the next few weeks a lot of important assignments, so we'll talk about that as we go too. One of the ones we're going to talk about right now is a differentiated instruction collection assignment. This is the one that you're doing on Pinterest. The last 2 weeks you should have been getting on Pinterest and searching for about 6 items a week, so nothing major, but make sure that you're getting a good even distribution on those different areas that I want you to search on. That way, at the end of the time, it's really not a big deal. Just do your top 10 list, follow the rubric at that point, and you're done. But make sure. So I'm going to kind of read through that a little bit right now. Again, 6 items each week. There should be at least 5 websites, 5 lesson plans, and 5 explanations of differentiated instruction in each of the so make sure that you've got those categories evened out, and you may find that you want to put another category in, but make sure you've at least got those 3. I've had students that, due to their area that they're going into, they've added another column in there to help out, but it's all on differentiated instruction. Last couple semesters, I've had about 1, maybe 2 students that just got on there and started writing about whatever, but it has to be about differentiated instruction, and then you can break it down. But you can look under, differentiated instruction for music, differentiated instruction for English, for math. You can break it down to whatever area you want, but make sure that it's about differentiated instruction. And make sure that you categorize it in your board. So get that taken care of. And then towards the end, let's see here. Week 11, you will have your top 10 list to turn in. And basically, that's just you picking out your top 10 items that you found on differentiated instruction, and then giving a brief instruction in the rubric. Right after the rubric is a template. I'd like for you to use it. It makes sense to me that when I tell a student that, hey, I suggest you use something, that they use it. But it sounds like there's at least 2 or 3 in each class that don't, and maybe they're not listening to these videos, or maybe they're not looking at the some of the announcements that I do, but they're there for a reason. It'll help you get a good grade and help you stay on task, so you don't have to redo something. So anyway, make sure that you're starting to share your boards with me. I've got a couple that I've been able to kind of watch and keep up with. Make sure you're doing that. I left that on some previous instructions, so if you haven't watched the videos, that's where they're at. Let's see here, when you've turned in, and also at the end, when you've turned in all the collections, I'll create a class list that'll include a lot of the top 10 lists as they come out. So I think that'll be fun for you to look at. But don't procrastinate on this until the last week. That's when people tend to get lower grades, because they haven't put the time in to get it done. You're also going to have your DI lesson plan due at the end of next week. I'm just double checking to make sure. Yeah, July 8th. That's the end of the following week, actually. So the DI lesson plan, wanted to mention it in here just because I want you to make sure you don't forget. It is based on MOPTA, and you do need to follow the template. Make sure and read what I put so that you don't change things on the template. And if you have questions, email. I will even be glad to call and talk to you if you need some help. That's what I'm here for. I want you to get it right the first time, and if that means you need to email me so I can call you, then I'll do it. Let's see here. Let's see. And next week, again, you're listening to this in the 7th week, meaning the 8th week is a 2-chapter week. So make sure and look ahead. You not only have 2 chapters, but that's when the lesson plan is due. So that's why I'm giving you a heads up now, so that when you get done with this week, maybe you can spend some time getting that DI lesson plan assignment started, and that way the week 8 doesn't seem so hard on you. Because you'll be doing communication disorders and blindness and low vision at that point. So let's see here. That's done. Hope you all are getting some rain where you're at. The forecaster keeps playing tricks on us here in Warrensburg. Where I live, outside of Warrensburg, there we have had very little rain, and Warrensburg had a good dousing last week, and we're still sitting here pretty hot. So hopefully you all are enjoying yourself where you're at. I do want to talk about the observation report a little bit. It is due the 15th. Many of you are already out there and observing, and I've had a couple emails asking questions. That's great. I'd much rather ask questions and get them answered before than after you turn in your observation report. That's not good, because normally by the time I get to grading those, most of the classes are done, and it's very hard to get anything extra if you need to. So ask questions first. Make sure you follow the rubric closely. I did just add a sample template to the rubric. The rubric is the same. So if you got on there earlier and looked at it to see what you needed to do, that rubric is the same. But what I did was put a template below that. It seems like in years past, there's always 3 or 4 students out of the class that do not do the paper correctly. And so in talking with the lead teacher, we developed this template. And that way, all you have to do is download the rubric. It says EDSP 2100 Observation Rubric in the assignment section. Download that to your computer. It's a Word document. And then go ahead and follow that. Scroll down below. The rubric is first, and then you'll see the template. And then go ahead at that point and follow the template. I've already got headers there and everything ready to go. Because you will separate. You're going to make one report within this paper that is on your regular education observation. Then when you get done putting everything in for that and answering all of those questions for the regular education classroom, then you're going to do a second report still within that same document that is from the special education observations that you've done. So make sure you're keeping those separate and answer all the questions for both. The only difference is whichever one that you did the structured observation, that is the 20-minute observation. And again, both the rubric, now there's a video on both. Now you're going to dismiss you can still listen to the video that I did on the rubric, because it's essentially the same thing you need to do. All we did is made the rubric a little easier for you to make sure you knew what we were looking for. So I've left everything the same, but disregard the rubric that I'm talking about. Just listen to what I say, because it does tell you everything you need to do. But again, you do have one structured observation, and you can do that in the regular education side, or you can do it on the special education side. Just make sure that you include a paragraph or so in your report that talks about what you learned. There is that paper that would have to be submitted. Let me go back here in assignments so that I make sure I call it the same thing here. Let's see here. Here we go. Observation documents. And I'm going to move that to the assignments. I'm not sure why I've got it in the wrong spot. But there's the structured observation rubric with template. And then you'll see an audio observation rubric that you can download on your computer. And it will have a PDF document for you to follow, along with an audio of me talking. Sorry, it is me talking. And then the observation timesheet has to be included. That has everything you need on that structured observation. It's a 2-page document. Make sure that you include percentages and things like that in your report so that I can see what you learned. That's what that whole thing is about. Don't just do the structured observation, copy it, put it in your report, and not include it somewhere in your report. So anyway, the reason I want this so set in stone is I will have about 13 to 16 papers that I will be looking at that are anywhere from 4 to 6 pages in length of actual report. And then on top of that, there's probably about 14 pages into your document that's going to have to include, the signature pages, the structured observation I was just talking about. Your notes need to be included. Anything at all that I've asked for on here needs to be put down and digitized into your paper, which means that you can take your camera, your telephone, and go ahead and take a picture of it, then upload it into your document so that it's there. I know that's going to mean it's going to be a long paper. Don't worry. That's for me to print out and me to figure out. But make sure that everything's in there. Let's see here. And the reason you must use that rubric and you must use the template is that way I can give you the grade you deserve. Many of you, it's taken you a lot of time to get your 6 hours in and to get everything answered. If you don't follow the rubric, it's very hard for me to give you accurate points. And I want to give you the points you deserve, but I'm not going to sit there and try to find what you're supposed to say. So make sure and just follow the rubric. Already talked about that. And that. Make sure to include a diagram or map of the classroom. That can be, you do it on a notebook, piece of paper. Some people have even done it on some type of program and make it look really nice. And it doesn't matter to me as long as you can put a picture of what the classroom looked like. That way I can see where the student you observed was, all of those things. Let's see here. And make sure you talk about the strategies. That's why we've included that rubric, made it a little bit better for you to understand what we put down. If you only have 5 specific descriptions of the classroom, then it's only 15 points out of 30. So make sure you follow. If you don't want, if you don't want an A, then fine. But I think most of you want to have that A paper on here, and I know you can do it. So far that's what you're showing me on all of your quizzes and discussion boards. So I have no doubt that all of you will follow that rubric to a T. But make sure and explain it. Let's see here. No bulleted lists. Make sure they're in paragraph form. Make sure that you include the 2 reports, the teacher signed pages, the diagram or map of the classrooms, all your notes, anything. And make sure you save your document like I want. Want you to do is first initial, last name, and then the words observation report. That way it tells me exactly who wrote it. I have a couple of you that have the same first name, so or the same initials, so that's why first initial, last name, observation report, and only submit 1 document. That way I can just download it. If you have questions about this at all, email me now. Email me this week to help you get it straightened out before you get to the end. Because right now, we're sitting here on the 24th. Many of you, this will be the last week that you're able to get any observations in. I can't help you if you come into me in July and find out that you don't have anybody observed. So get me real quickly. If you're one of those that doesn't have a 10 on your posting for your observations, get on there now and tell me who it is. Some of you may not know the teacher you're observing yet, but make sure that, let me know that you got it scheduled to do next week. And we'll go from there. I think that's all on the observation report. Let me see if there's anything else I want to get at. Just want to make sure I'm in here with you here. But yeah, autism spectrum discussion quiz. And then the following week, you have the lesson plan due on the 8th, observation report on the 9th week, and then we're down to the nitty gritty. There's just a couple things left to do. So, again, you're doing great. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Go out and have some fun, this week. But keep doing a good job of organizing and getting things to me in a timely manner. Again, great job. Mostly 9s and 10s on your quizzes this week. I will be looking at discussion boards on Monday, and then I will also Monday upload the answers to what really happened to those 3 students that you looked at. But make sure then that you have your initial post up by Thursday morning. Anyway, have a great week, and I'll chat with you next week. Thank you.